What is up? So excited for today, and I am glad you are here to watch this video. I hope that you are finding some life outside of your house in this beautiful sunshine we have today on Sunday. Hopefully we get more days like that this week. But anyway, today at Youth Group, we've got some great things planned. Austin Hafner is here to do some music. Robin, my wife, has got some things to tell you before you go. But before we get into any of that, I have some incredible footage from about 3 to 4 years ago of our seniors, our graduated seniors, doing a mannequin challenge, all right? In fact, it was the whole youth group. So this is kind of a throwback thing for you if you remember the mannequin challenge. And I want to make sure you check this out. So here you go. Here is the mannequin challenge circa 2016. You don't want to miss it. Check this out.
Jumped out the whip on him. You know how I get, homie. I'm too sharp for these dope brothers. Too smooth for the rough cutters. Oh, trying to be me my whole life. But I get caught up with that old life. Yeah, you know how the thinking go. But I'm about to get it on tonight. Hold tight, whole squad with me. You seeing them, you seeing me, man, it's the same difference. 100 shame, no, we ain't changed. Okay, your boy might be a little different. Go hard. Concrete, hold up. When you get me, man, I be out in these streets. Yeah, get it poppin' quick. Let the feeling jumpin' out the whip. Jumped out the whip.
Wasn't that a great blast from the past? Maybe you remember doing that while you're in youth group, or maybe you remember doing that on your own somewhere else. It's kind of fun to do that. I don't even know. Are there challenges still happening right now? Let me know in the comments if there's a challenge that we need to do. But I can't even think of a challenge that they're happening right now. But anyway, couple of announcements for you. Number one is keep sending in your nominations for high school youth director. We are moving forward with that. Many of you have already sent in your top 4 people you think should be on the interview team as a student. We are looking for students who are sophomore, juniors, and seniors this year. So if you just graduated, we probably aren't going to use you as our interview team. And if you are also entering into 9th grade this year, again, probably not going to use you on our team, but we do need your opinion in general. But we are looking for just some students who could help us interview some candidates. So if you have some nominations, make sure you send them to me, and I'm going to put all those together and then I'll let everybody vote on those. Second announcement is VBX is a go, if you haven't heard, and we are doing VBX in the parks. It's going to be an amazing race type of feel, and so families are going to get to go do some incredible opportunities in the parks, and so we're going to need some people to help us plan, but then also we're going to need people who can be in the park and help out families as well. Obviously, all of this is going to have to be socially distant as well. And so we're super excited. It's going to be through the month of July. You don't want to miss it. Details are coming because it's coming up very fast. And so, but I need you to go ahead and make sure that you are ready to go to help out in July for VBX. Mark it on your calendar. Let me know that you can help out. And we're going to give you more details and dates and times and all those sort of things as we move forward. But just know, there is something happening, so that's awesome. So anyway, we're going to change gears here a little bit, and Austin has this great song he's going to play. It's a song that we've done many times in youth group, so make sure you check that out. Here we go.
Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized here with you. This love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, there's more than just words that beyond my control, out of control. This is real love, this is real love, hey. This is real love, this is real love, oh. closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. In your heart I'm found. I want you, I want you. You won't let me down. You got me, you got me. This love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. Yeah, and you're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. This is real love, this is real love. Oh, this is real love, this is real love. Pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love, this is real love. This is real love, this is real love, this is real love. Oh.
Hey guys, so Dustin has been working his way through his top 10 thoughts he wanted to share before you go. Before you go, as in before you go off to summer and maybe off to the next grade or next school year, or before you go off to college, some of you, and before you go in the sense of like before you go off to follow the next youth director that God is even now preparing to bring into this space. Some of the thoughts he wanted to share before you go. So I'm so grateful that I got the chance to kind of step in and throw a few things of my own into the mix, because after a lot of years with working with students, there are two things in particular that have come up over and over and over again. And so it feels important that I get the chance to say them one more time before you go. Okay, so here they are. First thing, before you go, I want you to know that it is okay to have questions. It's okay to have questions about God, and it's even okay to have doubt. Some of us, we are wired to ask a lot of questions. Not all of us. Some of us don't need to ask every single question, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there are some of us who have to ask all of the questions. And the thing about it is, for us question askers, it doesn't take very long before you start asking questions that kind of rub up against things in our faith that feel kind of murky. Like, if I press into this, is my faith gonna hold? If I ask this question, is everything I think about God just gonna crumble around me? It happens. And when we don't press in and we don't press to find those answers, that's when doubt really starts to take hold in our hearts. So, I want you to know that this is what I've found about God. That God can handle your questions. He is not scared of them. He is a big boy. There is no question that you can throw at him that he has not already heard 1,000,000 times over. You cannot scare God away. There is nothing that you can ask him that is going to make him stop loving you. Okay? Just ask your questions. Anytime I think about this, I always think about the story of Job. Now, if you don't know the story of Job, I really encourage you to go to the Old Testament and read it, because he's got a whole book dedicated to the story of Job. But let me give you just a snapshot version of it. Basically, God allowed Job to experience the very worst situation possible. And Job, in response, would not give up on pressing God all about it. Why did he let this happen? It was so bad for Job that even Job's wife said, "Man, you should just curse God and die." But instead of doing that, Job did not curse God and die. Job kept asking and asking and asking God for answers. In the worst of situations, in the worst of Job's doubt, Job was determined to keep the conversation going with God. And eventually, when it was time, when Job was ready to hear it, God responded. Now, he did not give Job the answers that Job wanted. And God's response to Job absolutely put Job in his place. But God was never angry with Job for asking his questions. In fact, if you look at the very last chapter of the book of Job, you'll see that God was actually angry with Job's friends. You see, Job's friends thought they had God all figured out. They didn't need to ask anything more about God because they already had him inside a box. They already knew exactly how he worked. And that's who God was angry at. He was not angry at Job for asking for more information, for asking God to help him understand. So be like Job. Ask your questions. Go looking for the answers. Don't be afraid to wrestle with God about things that you don't understand. I cannot tell you that you're always going to get the answers that you want, but I can tell you that you will learn more about yourself and you will learn more about God, and your faith will be healthier and stronger because of the effort. I've done a little bit of wrestling myself along the way, and I'll say this. I have been surprised to find that this faith of ours is surprisingly resilient. Over and over again, I have found that the gospel message, it holds up. If you keep the conversation going with God, the gospel message will hold up. Okay, so that was the first thought. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have questions. Here's my second thought. It is okay to not have your life figured out. If the first thought had to do with doubt about your spiritual life, the second thought has to do with being okay to have doubt about your day-to-day life and about your future. You see, we live in this culture. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised when I say this. We live in this culture that tells us that we should achieve. And while we're in high school and moving towards graduation, there's a lot of pressure to have a plan, to have a good answer about what you're going to do with yourself when you move into adulthood. Now, for some, this is not a hard question. Some of us are born knowing what we're made to do. Some of us want to be a lawyer or a nurse or an artist or a mechanic, and we just know that's what we were made to do, and that is fantastic. So as you move through high school and towards graduation and whatever comes after it, you know just what to do. You have a plan, you have a goal, and you're ready to go after it, and that is wonderful. We cheer you on. But for others of us, things just aren't quite that clear. You don't necessarily know what career you want. You don't know what you want to be doing with yourself in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. So before you go, let me reassure you with this. It is okay. It is okay if you know, and it is also okay if you don't know. God makes each one of us for a purpose. All of us have good work to do with the time that we have here on earth. For some of us, that work is very, very clear. For others of us, life is a bit more of a journey. It's a bit more of an adventure. Step by step, God reveals what He would like us to do with our time as we go along. I'm reminded again of some characters in the Old Testament. If you know anything about the nation of Israel and how it was set up, you know that there was this tribe within Israel called the Levites, as in the people that were descended from the son Levi. And God set them aside for a special purpose. See, they were set aside to be the religious leaders, the people who performed the religious ceremonies, who took care of temple duties. So, if you were born into a Levite family, you knew from the very beginning what your career path was going to be. You knew that in adulthood, you would be working at the temple or providing some sort of support to religious duties. But then also I think of David. He was born into a family of shepherds. He himself was a shepherd. But eventually, God made him a king. So his path was a little bit more of an adventure. Or I think of the disciples in the New Testament. Some of them were fishermen. At least one was a tax collector before Jesus came along. And then they became Jesus' disciples. And after his death and resurrection and ascension back into heaven, then they became the first church leaders. So their stories had a lot of twists and turns. It was a bit more of an adventure for them also. So what I'm saying is, it's okay if you know where your life is headed. That's good. And it's also okay if you don't. That's also good. God has a good plan for both of you. But I do recognize that there is a lot of pressure to have things figured out. See, when I graduated high school, I think it was the only time in my life that I could say I had a true panic attack. Guys, the day of graduation, I graduated valedictorian. I was top of my class. And there was a lot of people asking me what was going to come next. And so I had come up with a plan. I had a college I was going to attend. I had a degree program I was going to, start. And I had a plan, and it sounded nice, and I had an answer to give those people. But on the afternoon of graduation, I stood at the window of my best friend's bedroom, and I was looking out, and my heart was beating out of my chest, and I couldn't hardly get air, and it was because I knew it was all wrong. I couldn't do what I had said I was going to do, but I also knew that I better figure something out before I face the disappointment of all the adults around me. Now, I'm sure that there was a lot more grace there for me than I realized at the time, but still, I felt a lot of pressure, and I imagine that some of you do too. So I get it. There's a lot of security and a lot of social approval that comes along with having a plan at graduation, of having a plan for your life. And it's a little scary when you don't have one. So let me leave you with this bit of advice. It's something I wish someone had told me, and so I'm going to give it to you. If you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life, if you don't know what career you want to pursue, instead of relentlessly asking yourself this question, what should I do with myself? Start asking another question. Start asking, what do I not want to do with myself? Start filtering your options through that. What do I not want to do with myself? What would make me miserable if I did that? And then be willing to try new things. Things that might be unexpected, but things that aren't going to make you miserable. Take a class, get a certification, find something that you don't mind doing as a job, and do that while you're figuring out adulthood. Then when it comes time to try something new, you can go after it, but you'll always have those skills to fall back on, just in case something doesn't work out. It really is a no-lose approach. So that's my advice. It's what I wish someone had told me, and so it's what I'm going to pass along to you. Before you go, I hope you know that it is okay not to have your life all figured out when you're 17 or 18 years old. And I hope that you also know that it is okay if you have questions and doubts about God and about your spiritual life. It is okay. You are still deeply loved, and you are going to be just fine.